Is Josh Johnson the temporary answer? Welcome back to Street Scores. It's your boy Rico giving y'all that 2018 Week 14 Redskins report. And we're about to dive straight into this entire Josh Johnson situation. Let's get it. Just some historical context. Josh Johnson was drafted in 2008 in the 5th round by the Buccaneers and was with them through 2011. And then he was on 14 other teams before landing on the Redskins a few days ago. 16 teams in 10 years, including a short stint in the United Football League. In 2009, he started for the Buccaneers 4 times out of 6 games that he played in. He threw 8 interceptions and 4 touchdowns. Tragic. So far in his career, before he played with the Giants today, in 29 games played, with 5 of them being starts, Johnson had a 54.2 completion percentage, 5 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. Tragic. But he ended up with the Redskins because of multiple factors. Alex Smith out for season. Colt McCoy is pretty much out for season. The Redskins just not putting him on IR just to be nice and allow him to get as much money out of his contract as possible. That's what I'm assuming. Mark Sanchez was next up, but nobody had faith in him, and we can see why after this game. And then John Johnson was next up, primarily because of his previous experience with Jay Gruden in Cincinnati. Now moving in chronological order, Josh Johnson stepped in for a benched Mark Sanchez, who had the Redskins down 40-0, zilch, nada, in the 3rd quarter. Mark Sanchez was 6 of 14 passing for 38 yards with 2 interceptions, no touchdowns of course, and one of those interceptions was returned for a touchdown. So at least he threw a touchdown for the other team. We would have been better off taking that safety on that drive, honestly. Greg Stroman was setting the Redskins up for failure all game. He was letting Nas down in the return game, but that's me digressing. Back to Josh Johnson. When he came in the game, he threw his first NFL regular season pass since 2011. And honestly, even though he made some mistakes, as he was expected to do, he actually played pretty well and gave the Redskins some hope. He was using his feet to pick up first downs and touchdowns, and he also had some good passes. He threw a few dots out there. I was a little surprised by how accurate he was on a few of his passes. He went 11 for 16 on passes for a touchdown and a poorly thrown interception. There was actually a pretty good play on the ball by the Giants DB. So I can't be too mad at Josh Johnson, even though it was still a bad decision. It was a forced throw. But there's a few things I take away from this game as far as John Johnson. 3 of them to be exact. First thing, he played far better than Mark Sanchez. Even though Chris Thompson and other receivers were dropping passes like nobody's business when Mark Sanchez was in, Josh Johnson still looked better as far as decision making, accuracy, and especially using his legs to get out of trouble. Which leads to my second point. Secondly, this game proved that Josh Johnson and somebody like Colin Kaepernick are far better fits in this offense built around Alex Smith's skill set than somebody of Mark Sanchez. As a side note, Colin Kaepernick replaced Alex Smith in San Francisco and took the team to the Super Bowl, so I don't understand this Colin wouldn't fit in the offense narrative. He's very close to Alex Smith in weaknesses and strengths. The only thing Mark Sanchez had over Colin is experience with Redskins coaches and maybe some knowledge of the playbook. But Colin, who is better than Josh Johnson, has been proven as an obviously better option just by looking at how good Josh Johnson looked today. But anyway, back to how Josh Johnson is a better fit in this offense than Mark Sanchez. He is far more mobile, and with Jay Gruden loving the read option, the option, and bootlegs, he is far more effective in Jay Gruden's offense. You can even tell by how Mark Sanchez was sacked 5 times, and Josh Johnson never was, with the same offensive line. The Redskins need a more mobile quarterback for this makeshift offensive line that's filled with backups, a hurt and penalty-prone Morgan Moses, and Trent Williams, who just had his worst game of his career. Josh Johnson also ran for a touchdown, just to emphasize how effective his mobility is. And point 3 that I learned from this game, he brought an infectious energy and hope. Receivers started catching passes. I even saw Josh Doctson show a lot of emotion after he caught a pass in the 4th quarter. Mind you, we were still down 24 with 5 minutes left at the time. Also, Jamison Crowder had his best play of his career. Defenders had to stay disciplined in their assignments, which kept defenders flat-footed and indecisive, and receivers were a little more open as a result. Especially in the red zone, they had to basically honor Josh Johnson's mobility, which made them flat-footed and allowed receivers to get more open. He even brought out some potential in Josh Doctson. Josh Doctson had, I think, 84 yards. Maybe it's because they have the same first name. And even Adrian Peterson said he likes what Josh Johnson brought to the table. Check it out right here.
Johnson came in, and yeah, I feel like he did a great job. And that right there alone, just created a different spark for us. It was obvious when he came in. We started moving the ball. We started scoring points. So that right there is hope alone. I feel like we, get this guy in there for 4 quarters, and start off the way we started when he came in. Then we have a chance to be productive offensively, and defensively they feed off of us as well. That right there alone gives me hope.
It's crazy how Josh Johnson went from talking about learning the Redskins players' names to being the hope of the team in just a quarter and a half. He's already been named the starter against Cody Kessler and the Jaguars, which means we will now have 4 different starting quarterbacks in a 5-game span. Tragic. I'm assuming he will at the very least play better than Mark Sanchez against the Jaguars and hold on to his starting position for the remainder of the season. This is Josh Johnson's 3-game audition. This is your time to prove to us that we don't need to draft a quarterback in the 1st round, because Alex Smith's injury seems to be very serious and Colt McCoy is not the answer. If Josh Johnson doesn't work out, then we will probably draft a quarterback early, maybe even in the 1st round. In my opinion, I feel like Josh Johnson will have his up and downs as the season concludes, and he will play poor enough for the Redskins to consider drafting a quarterback in the 2019 draft, but he will play well enough for the Redskins to not draft a quarterback early, let alone the 1st rounds. I feel like the Redskins may not overreact to the quarterback situation, especially with this draft's QB talent being not as good as last year. But as far as the future, we will have to stay tuned and see. But that's it for this episode. Thanks for the view. I'm interested in seeing how this Josh Johnson saga will turn out for the rest of the season. And with how things are looking, I'm about to get back to my draft content. I'm excited. Draft season is my favorite part of football. I'm going to bring y'all the same stuff as last year and even more. Videos of the Redskins' weaknesses and needs, mock drafts, individual player film sessions, the usual. I'm going to start watching my film on college players and getting to work. But make sure y'all Dolemite fake punch that like button, favorite subscribe, I'll subscribe back, and most importantly, comment and share. And again, thank y'all for the support. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.